Imagine that you're living in a apartment building. Along with this apartment building, you have your regular amenities that comes along with it, everything else like that. Let's say you bought this about a couple of weeks ago, right? You walk in, the apartment building is about maybe $117,000. 3 bedrooms, pretty nice, pretty nice living room. Um, Master bedroom that's pretty decently sized, has a walk-in closet. You have 2 other bedrooms there. One is a guest bedroom. One is another bedroom for whoever lives there. Let's say you have one teenage kid, and he lives or she lives in that room. You live and sleep in the master bedroom. And you have a common area, which is obviously the living room. And then you have the small kitchen, and you have 2 bathrooms. One in the hallway for everyone else, meaning the guest and your son or daughter, and one that's right in the master bedroom. Sounds like a normal apartment complex, apartment building. Now, let's say on top of this, you have neighbors above you and below you. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to really imagine this. It's just like any other apartment building. You live in an apartment. You have an apartment complex. You have your unit. You have your units next to you, and everything else like that. All these people, they're living basically pretty much in the same sized area as you. Maybe they have more bedrooms. Maybe they have less. But all in all, it's pretty much the same size. Maybe some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger. And you will all have your own stuff in there. So let's say that you have a bed and you have TV, like 2 TVs. You have a computer. You have some video game systems and stuff like that. You have your regular furniture and everything that you paid for and everything. It's a pretty nice, decent living space. Now, on top of this, imagine if you imagine if the building, the unit that you paid for, it comes along with extra fees that you have to pay in order to maintain your living arrangement. Let's say there's a parking lot outside, and in order to live in this apartment building, you have to pay the price, you have to pay the fee in order to keep up with parking spots. Seems reasonable, right? Otherwise, if you're not going to pay for those fees, then you might as well just not live in that area. You can move over to a different area where you don't have to worry about the maintenance of parking spaces that you use, that you walk on. Let's say there's a bunch of trees outside. Maybe sometimes those trees get overgrown, and you all basically make this contractual agreement that you're going to pay for the trimming of these trees as well. When it comes to like a monthly sort of fee, maybe you pay $25 for the parking spaces. Maybe you pay $50 for basically keeping the trees all trimmed down and everything. Pay maybe about like $10 per month when it comes to the arrangements of outside and stuff. But other than that, there's not really that much. Let's say for the units, let's expand it a little bit. The units all go under the same electricity grid. So you're all paying for electricity. If you're not paying for your electricity, your unit goes down, but everyone else's stays on. Now, let's say that that arrangement of people that you're living with, they're no longer your neighbors. All those people in that arrangement, let's rename them. Let's rename each of these individuals that have their own individual personalities. They all have their individual jobs that they go to every day, or Maybe not even every day. Let's say some of them work part-time, some of them work full-time. Let's say, let's erase the idea that these people are actually people. Let's just say this apartment complex is the only thing that's in the world. And everyone living in this apartment complex, they're society. They're individuals in a society. And the society that you live in is the unit within the entire apartment complex. Let's say the entire apartment complex that you live in, and all the ones that are within the condominium space, which is maybe about 400 square yards, expands that area. You all make a contract. You all decide that you're going to basically pay for something if you're going to be living there. You're going to pay for the parking spaces and everything else like that I have already said. And let's say on top of that, in order to leave this area, you have to make sure that you have a identification card. And in order to actually do business within this area, like interacting with people within this area, let's say they buy and sell different services. Let's say one person in society is a blacksmith, and you go to him for all of your blacksmithing needs. Let's say another lady in the apartment makes jewelry, so you'll go to her for all of your needs for jewelry. Now that we got that down, in order to do transactions with the individuals within the society, you have to make sure that you have a card, identification card, to basically show each other that you live in the society. You also have to make sure that when you get out of this society into another society, that you have another pamphlet. You have to buy a pamphlet with the money that you have. So, let's say the pamphlet is $120. You have to make sure you have a $125 pamphlet in order to get out of this society and to move into another society if you wanted to. Okay? Now that we got everything settled, we have the services that you get, that you agree upon. You have had a contract that you handwritten down. You have an identification card in order to do business transactions with other people in the society, which is the apartment condominium that you live in. And you also have the $120 thing that you have to get in order to move out. Well, that's like a little bit of a restriction, right? It's a little bit of a, it's a little bit of a hurdle to get over. Let's say, you don't really make that much money, but you do want to get out of the society. You have to pay this $120 in order to get this thing to move out. Well, let's say you're born in this society. Let's say that your mom and your dad obviously copulate, and then you grow up in this society, and you're like, okay, I really like this place, but, I'm feeling as though I want to go out and explore. I want to be in a different society. But the thing is that, let's say your parents were really, really poor. Let's say your parents they weren't really good people. They were just really kind of crappy people. And you were born and you moved into another unit. You wanted to get away from them. It took a lot of money in order to go into another unit. It was sort of like, I need to get out of here now once I turn 18, so I'll be able to get away from this shit. Now, of course, you have the ability to decide whether or not certain people within this society are allowed to get into your unit. Now, let's say you saved up all this money when you were 18, got into that unit. Now you're not really understanding how to work in order to get more money to get the $120. Let's say you're at a certain point in your life where you have to make a certain amount of money in order to have food, and you just barely get by. You have enough money to eat food, and that's pretty much it. Now, let's say in this apartment complex, the society, the condominium of which you live in, let's say that you all agree upon, when you're living in the society, you also have to agree upon the fact that there might be arbitrary rules that might be passed, allowing people to do certain things in a society. Let's say you're still allowed to do whatever you want in your own condominium unit, but you're not allowed to do certain things with other people. Let's say you're not allowed to sell socks. Let's say the one thing that you're really good at is having the ability to sell socks. And that's actually how you make a living. You sell socks. Since they passed this law that everyone in society basically agreed upon, there was 54 or so people. No, more like, let's say the entire society has about like 1,020 people that are living within it. And you made a rule, like we're all agreeing upon the fact that when we live in the society, when we live in the complex, we're going to have certain arbitrary rules that have to be passed every year. And they have to attribute to everyone in the society. And let's say the majority rule. Let's say it's just democracy. Let's say maybe about 547 people decided that they didn't want socks bought and sold. And the rest said we did. And let's just say that the 547 are really the majority. Some people didn't vote, and the ones that did vote, the majority got the vote that socks aren't supposed to be bought and sold within the society. They think it's horrible that socks are bought and sold, and therefore no longer are socks able to be bought and sold. Now you're put into a position where you have to do one of two things. You have to either figure out something else to do that you can do, or you're gonna have to be put on society's okay, you have one of three things that you could do. You could either continue buying and selling those socks, being under a certain circumstance where you might be caught and put into the laundry room downstairs, where they have people locked in the laundry room for a certain amount of years in the closet of the laundry room. It's not very nice. They'll feed you, they'll clothe you, they'll give you a drink, a water, but, that's your punishment. You'll be just stuck in the laundry room for a couple of years. Let's say it's 2 or 3 years. But otherwise, you have two other options. Number one, you could starve, because you have nothing else to do. Let's say you're really bad at things, you don't really know how to do anything, and even if you do, it'll take you too long to figure it out before you can buy and sell things, so therefore you'll be left to starve. Or you could go on the society payroll. Now, what the society payroll does is that ensures that certain people within the society are still able to live and survive without breaking the law. So what you have to do is you have to go over to the society office. There's an office somewhere, so you go down and you fill out a paper form. You have to wait a couple of days. Let's say it's 4 or 5 days. You have enough water at home, and you don't really need to have food until like three weeks. Because 3 weeks is usually the amount of time that it takes for you to starve. No, you're just living off of water and the remainder of your food, and then you get this society payroll. Let's say the society payroll comes in every month or so, and it gives you a sufficient amount of money in order to survive, in order to eat, and in order to drink. But, of course, it doesn't really have total freedom. You're not allowed to use it for everything. So you go and you're allowed to buy food from the people who sell food in society. But that's where you're able to use it. You're not able to use it on anything else. You can't use it to get that passport to go to another society. You can't use it at all on that. You can't use it for TV. You can't use it for pretty much near anything else. But since you're on the society payroll, you'll be able to eat, you're going to be able to drink. They'll still give you electricity, but pretty much after that, you're pretty much destitute. You don't have anything else to do. So, what happens? What happens along the way? Well, society really is worried. They're worried about a threat from another society. See, the other society is full of brutes, full of people who want to hurt other people. And in this society of which you live in, all you hear is, did you hear about those monsters? Did you hear about those monsters in Society B? They're trying to attack us in Society A. And you'll see it on your Society TV, which is run by the cable technician in your society. And they'll always be talking about Society B and how evil it is. So, Society has an idea. Society has an idea that they want to pay another fee, pay another fee in order to make sure that people in Society B get killed. So there's a majority vote. Majority vote says, we want to attack those people. So what does the society do? Society institutes a tax on people, a fee on people. It's totally voluntary. It's a fee. They can move if they want to, if they have that $120 thing. And everyone pays into it because there is a vote, a majority vote. And the minority, if they don't like it, they can get out. No big deal. They just have to pay that $120 fine to get out. Now, for a while, things are going alright. Things are going swimmingly. But then, oh my God, Society B has an agreement with Society C, as it says on the cable news network, which Society runs. Your Society runs. Now it needs more money. So what does Society do? What does Society A do? Your Society do? Well, it says, well, we need more money, but there's not enough money because people aren't really making enough money. Let's take from those moochers over there that are buying our food with our money. So they have a majority vote. They're like, well, you people that don't have enough money because you're not allowed to buy and sell socks or other services that we had a majority rule upon, now we're going to have to take a little bit of that money away from you and spend it to kill Society C and Society B, so those societies don't attack our society. So that happens. Now you have crime. See, crime is nothing that society likes. Society obviously doesn't like crime. Let's say you are now a criminal. Why are you a criminal? Well, you can't really survive on what you have now because society had a vote in order to make sure that they were able to destroy Society B and Society C because they were a threat to their own existence. Now, you have one of two things that you can do. You can try to escape the society without a passport, or you can steal from others in the society. Now, this is really frowned upon. Obviously, everyone agrees it's a bad thing to steal from others in society. Not necessarily because it hurts that individual person in society, but because it hurts everyone. So, let's say you go try the second route. You're thinking the first route is a little bit more too risky because the policemen in society will come down and they'll kill you. They'll be able to see you if you're trying to cross the border into another society. So, the people in society, they have their individual units stolen from. Now society is even more scared. They're not only scared from Society B and Society C, but they're scared from criminals who are in their society. They're scared. So what do? They pass another law by majority vote. Almost unanimously, everyone makes sure that they have a way for society to have another fee that is paid directly to the police officers within the society to ensure that they knock down each one of the unit's doors to ensure that there isn't a criminal there. This goes alright. Not many people are very happy with it. They retract, they have another vote, and they say, alright, this is too invasive. We need to make sure that the police officers have a warrant for an individual person in order to do this. Because if they don't have a warrant, then it's going to be too easy for these people to come into individual units and try to find people who aren't there. We all agree upon that in society. So what do? Well, we still want to make sure that society takes care of criminals. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to install a camera in each one of our houses, each one of our units. It's really pretty much a countermeasure against these things. It makes us feel safe. Plus, we don't really have to think about it. The society police will be able to monitor whether or not someone is in the house, and there'll be an alarm that goes off, and once there's an alarm that goes off, the police officers will be able to go into these individual units and arrest the criminals in society. There's another majority vote. Now, when this majority vote passes, what happens? It seems as though the crime is going up. More and more people are becoming criminals. Nobody knows why. They try to say, what do individuals in the units usually use for protection? Well, they usually try to use knives, right? So let's say it's not guns. Let's say it's knives. Let's say everyone is allowed to have a knife because they want to cut their cheese and their meat and everything else like that. They're really just used for that. I mean, of course, you could always use it for, self-defense purposes, but usually, what do we use the knives for? We usually use these knives to just cut our cheese and our meats and, our sandwiches and everything else like that if we are ever wanting to eat. Otherwise, not really many people really use knives for protection anyway. I mean, there's not really many times that knives are used for protection, so society says, we'll forgo the knives. We'll forgo the knives. Let's make sure that nobody is allowed to use knives. Let's say the knives are plastic. They're just sharp enough to cut through sandwiches. Maybe you won't have meat anymore. You could still have cheese, no big deal. You'll have your cheese grater and everything else like that, but you won't be able to cut meat. You have to go to the meat clerk over here. Make sure that he does it, that he cuts the meat. But you're not allowed to cut your own meat because that might be used as a weapon. And that's for criminals. Let's say there are individuals in these units in society that really, really enjoy eating meat. For some reason, they really like being able to ones that cure the meat on their own. They like being able to cut into it in a certain way that the meat cleaver in society doesn't do it. It just simply doesn't do it right. So I want to cut my meats right. But of course, society doesn't like that. Society had a majority vote that this would be taken care of. Now, these individual meat cleavers, the ones that really like cleaving their meat, they're also really beholden to society. They really like society. They really like the society of which they're in. They feel as though they have a camaraderie with the other individuals that they live with in society. They love Society A. They hate Society B. They hate Society C. But they really love their society and the people in it. But they really want to use their knives. See, this is a problem now for society. They have a bunch of people in society that so-called love them, but don't want to agree by their standards. Now those individuals, they're called crazy knife nuts. They're crazy meat cleavers. And in fact, these people now have a flag. And the flag has a knife on it. And a knife cutting into a slice of meat. And it says, Confederate Flag of Meat Cleavers. These are the people that need to be shown what to do. These people are the bad guys. Therefore, we don't want this disgusting meat cleaver, knife, flags on their doors and everything. Take them down. We have another majority vote. People in society, they want to take down these flags, these meat cleaver flags. These meat cleaver flags are like, well, this promotes the regular traditional values of our country and what our country is about to be. The right to be able to own your meat. The right to be able to cut your own meat by yourself. This is Society A. Don't you understand? Now, this is too much. This is too much for society. They hate these people. In fact, these people are called so many other names besides just meat cleavers. They're called rapscallions. They're called knife beholders. And these are really horrendous terms to call somebody. They're not really terms to just throw around willy-nilly. These are vicious terms. In fact, these terms go back to horrible, horrible times within society, where it used to be a couple hundred years ago, with the people who are less civilized, and the people who in society used to be ones who had maids in their houses. Black maids. And these black maids, of course, they didn't have a choice whether or not to be maids. They were taken from another society that is no longer in existence called Z Society Z. Now, Z Society Z was a really backwards country back then, and it was a really backwards society back then, but Society A, obviously, was a little bit backwards too. Now, Society A, 200 years ago, they had these maids, they brought them over, and they made sure that they wiped their house down clean. They made sure that they had everything fucking spotless. And this was vicious of the people within the units. And they would whip these people. And they would actually wear something on them. In fact, it was actually their skin color. Their skin color was different from all those in the society back then. See, everyone in the society back then were white. They were white-skinned people. And all the people that were maids in society were black-skinned people. Now, the black-skinned people were the maids. And the chefs. And the chefs and the maids, they were all black people. And we used to call them rapscallions. And we used to call the chefs, the black chefs that were also slaves, knife holders and skillions. Just like we're calling these people. Now, that idea that these words have changed over time, they no longer actually mean black maids and black chefs. But they mean the people who hated them, who made sure that they were indentured to them. Now the individuals within society are not only white, but they're also black. They're black because from hundreds of years ago, their ancestors used to live in Society A. But then they grew in accustomed Society A and lived peacefully. And everyone pretty much doesn't pay attention. But now, the meat cleaver flags. These people, most of them, they don't very much take kindly to the individuals in these units that are black. They still have sort of backwards views. I mean, sure, the majority of them don't, but some of them do. Therefore, they have to make sure these flags are taken down so it doesn't remind the black folks within society to be scared. And to make sure that these evil motherfuckers, they go down. This happens for a while. Society begins to decay. There's more and more animosity towards individuals in society because they're doing things that they don't like them doing. And obviously, for some reason, the amount of money in order to pay to get out of society goes up every year. In fact, it's used. A lot of people try to use it in order to get out, but it gets more and more expensive as society begins to crumble. Now there's individuals in society of which want to disband society. These anti-society people, they're called Ziliangologs. Now the Ziliangologs, they're told that they just don't understand. We need society in order to make sure they maintain the infrastructure that has been collapsing because we don't have enough money for infrastructure, because we have to fight Society B and Society C. See, you do not understand. The trees are being overgrown. We need to give them more, and we also need to give them more to fight Society B and C and now D. And without society being able to basically hold everything together, these people will overrun Scallywags. But the Scallywags, they don't care. They say people in society should be able to do what they want to do. In fact, the individuals in the units should have the ability to decide their own fates, to be able to buy and sell stocks, to be able to not be held by the whims of the majority, but by the whims of the individuals in society, and they should be able to go and leave if they want to. They should have the ability to pay for their own things on their own merits. They should be able to interact with one another on a basis of which the individuals in the units want to interact. In fact, maybe there shouldn't even be a society. Maybe there should just be units. Maybe there should just be people. Of course, society has gotten down to a certain point where it has to make a decision. Will society let these scallywags have their way and individuals be able to do whatever they want to do with one another without hurting one another? Or will society make sure that these scallywags will be able to understand the plight of society and be jailed for having these opinions that these people should be jailed because they have those flags in solidarity with the people who have scallywag knives cutting meat? These people should be able to understand that society is more important than the individual. Are they? Or is the individual more important? And society a coerced measure against those that individuals disagree with? Now, imagine society as a nation. Fees or taxes. The identification card is something that goes along with it being able to buy and sell. A state ID. A federal ID. That these laws passed by a majority vote is what we call democracy. That the basement is a jail. That crime in society is not something that is waged against society or everyone in a nation, but those of individuals. Imagine that these scallywags are the people who fly the Confederate flag, and the black people that I had mentioned that were enslaved to be maids and cooks were actually those were enslaved 200 years ago that were enslaved to be house slaves and those serving to pick cotton for their masters. Imagine that when I was talking about the Zipzollywogs, I was talking about voluntarists, anarchists, libertarians. Do you believe that people should be able to do what they want lest they don't hurt anyone else? Or do you side with society? That's something to think about. This has been Lapse of Apathy. Peace.